Welcome to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. The crossroads where culture, lifestyle, and community meet, all hosted by the legendary New York radio TV personality and proud Harlem American, G. Keith Alexander.
Well, hey, hello there. How are you? And welcome to Harlem America. My guest today is a magnificent young lady. I've known her for many, many years. I just want to welcome all the people who are listening in Harlem and outside of Harlem, around the rest of the country, and also in other countries. Our guest today, Ms. Vi Higgenson, is an American theater producer, playwright, former disc jockey, radio, TV personality. She's the founder and executive director of the Mama Foundation for the Arts and the co-writer of the 1983 musical, Mama, I Want to Sing, the longest running Black off-Broadway musical in American history. And she's a dear friend of mine and colleague, and I want you to put your hands together and let's welcome on Facebook and Instagram, Miss Vi Higgenson.
Hey now, G. Keith Alexander.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for making the time to be with us today. There's so much I want to talk to you about. I mean, I've known you for so long, but there's things about you that I don't know. And a lot of people that have come to know you from radio and television or from coming to your plays, they would like to know more about you as well. So let us talk to those folks. Let us fill those folks in. And let's go, is there anything you'd like to say before we get started?
Well, I'm just very proud of you, and I'm glad that you're a neighbor, and Harlem is where it is. It's the mecca of music and entertainment and talent. So Harlem, our family's been on this block, the same block, for almost 100 years. So you know how I feel about Harlem.
Oh, yes, I know how you, and I know you walk up and down the street and people recognize you. Hi, Mama Vi. Hi, Vi. So I
And
witnessed that
when we
firsthand.
walk together, they say, "Hi, G. Keith. Hi, Mama."
Yes, and that's always a treat. That's always a treat. So why don't we take the way back machine, you and
Mhm.
I, and we start at your childhood here in Harlem. What was it like?
Oh, Harlem. My memories of Harlem include a block on either side with the famous brownstones. This is before the state office building. It was a Black middle class neighborhood where people owned their own homes and everybody was safe and everybody looked out for each other. So there was a PAL across the street, so the kids had things to do. And so I always felt safe until until the gangsters and the mafia came to Harlem when they brought the drugs, and then Harlem shifted. People started running away because they were scared. But Harlem was a beautiful neighborhood with great um, architecture, and it was friendly and it was a wonderful neighborhood. And I especially like being on this street because we're just walking distance from a destination from the Apollo Theater, Sylvia's restaurant, and then the radio station was on the corner of 126th Street and Lenox Avenue. So this was home. This is Harlem.
Well, so now you mentioned Harlem has come a long way since then, but you've mentioned the radio station on the corner. Now, we know that radio station started out as a little small radio station and became known all over the world. And that radio station is
WBLS.
that's right, and it was
But first, it
uh-huh,
was WLIB. It was an
WLIB
AM
FM.
radio station that everybody loved and everybody listened to. But then FN came in And that's when it became.
Well, it was an AM FM, WLIB AM, WLIB
And
FM.
that's right.
Yeah. And I was the first one that Frankie hired as it was transitioning from WLIB WLIB FM to WBLS. And that's when you were coming in the transition. How did you get to WBLS during
You're
that
the first
transition?
person I've met when I went to WLIB-FM. I remember you. And so that's how we remained friends all these years. Um, yeah, how did I get there? Um, I went to a broadcasting school. I wanted to do um, little bits about fashion and beauty. And I thought that was missing in our community. And I went to Frankie Crocker, who was the program director, and he was on the air. And I sat there for 4 hours until he came out. And I said, "Hey, look, I got a tape and I'd like to do these things for Black women." So he went inside and played the tape. And when he came out, he said, "I want to hire you as a radio personality." And I said, "No, I don't know how to do that." So he called the boss. And then the boss called me and said, "Look, we got this new radio station. Frankie Crocker likes the sound of your voice and he wants to put you on the air. And we'll pay you $125 and you'll work 6 days a week, 4 hours a day." I said, "I don't know how to do that." But then my sister said, I told my sister, I will always credit her for this. I said, they try to offer me a job I don't know how to do that. She said, "Girl, you better take that job. If you don't like it, you can always quit." And I always loved her for that. And
Was that
that's
your
what we did.
sister Joyce?
My sister, Joyce Higgenson Davis. Yep.
Yes. Wow. She's a wonderful woman. Now, let me ask you, okay, so what was it like being the first woman in prime time radio in New York City?
Y'all wore me out. It was a man's world. There's no question about it. And so you had to kind of navigate your way through a lot of egos and niceness. There's a lot of kindness, and there was a lot of help. I had a engineer. He said, "I'm going to show you what to do." So, and Mark Callerman, I always give him credit for
Oh,
that.
Mark, yes, I
Yeah.
remember him. Yeah. But now, okay, so during that time, you're learning to be a radio personality. In fact, back then they called us DJs. The radio personality hadn't evolved into the lexicon yet. But what was it like now? You're on the I think you were on middays and you had the vibes, but good vibrations. What
Vibrations for New York.
Yeah, there you go. So what was it like now? You're becoming this radio personality, and you are walking around town, and especially around Harlem. Uh, this new fame that was coming to you. What was that like?
Keith, in the beginning, I was really scared because there was nobody to look to as an example. So, as a woman, so we had to find your way. And what I was scared was that maybe people wouldn't like having a woman on the air. But as I got used to it, and people thought it was kind of a novelty, and I would come in and I'd have a vase and I'd bring a rose every day and I'd turn the lights down and we'd set the stage and we set the mood. And then I felt like it was magic because here you are sitting in this little room with a rose and an engineer, and you end up in somebody's living room or bathroom or car. It was like, wow, look at this. It was kind of magical. Yeah. And then when it was just a different time. And when you came outside and people know your name, you know, th- um, Frankie Crocker used to do these things at the Apollo Theater, remember?
Oh yes, oh
And then
yes.
we had to go, and I was really scared because, the Apollo would boo you off. So, but when I came on the stage, one of my fondest memory, there was thunderous applause. And I just relaxed from there. I said, okay, I guess it's going to be all right. So it's a wonderful feeling, you know, to communicate the kind of conversation, motivation, information. It was intelligent radio. And we were able to have a conversation with people.
Well, you have a little. If we get very briefly, you have a little Apollo theater in your blood because your sister Doris Troy appeared at the Apollo Theater, and she had a big hit. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's also part of the Harlem legacy, you see, because the Apollo was there. And that's the story of Mama, I Want to Sing. My oldest sister's Doris Troy. My father died when I was very young, and she was rebellious. She didn't want to sing in the church anymore, so she went down to the Apollo. And that's where she became an usherette. And she saw Lena Horne and Dinah Washington and all the greats and Sarah Vaughan. She wanted to be like them. So she auditioned for amateur night and won. And that's how she started her career. And that's the story we tell in Mama, I Want to Sing. And she
Her
said to
big
her
hit.
mother,
Yeah,
her
go ahead.
big hit was Just One Look. And she wrote and sang that song. And that took her all over the United States, Europe, and Japan, that hit
And
song.
and your mother didn't want her to perform, so she said to her mother,
Mama, I want to sing. And so that's what happened. That's the true story. That's exactly what happened.
so now, all right, so we're talking about Mama I Want to Sing, but Mama I Want to Sing, how did you get that kernel of an idea to say, well, wait a minute, let me make this into a production?
Yeah. Well, there's been some bumps in the road, some losses, some wins. That song says, I've had some good days. And I got a testimony. So I had a magazine, said Unique New York magazine, of which you were on the cover.
I was on the cover of you. I have a copy of it right here, hanging up,
Oh,
hanging up on the wall.
I
Yes.
love that. And so that unexpectedly had to close because we lost some of our key personnel. And so I went on a television show, as a matter of fact, on Channel 5, Midday Live
Oh, with Bill Boggs. It was Bill
with Bill
Boggs.
Box.
Yes. Okay.
And Gwen Barrett was the producer.
Right.
And the show was about being single. So I was talking about how I like being single and, that no one man could satisfy all the various component parts of my being. And so I had different men for different reasons, if I want to go bicycle riding, if I want to talk finance, whatever. That's
I did. Hey, wait,
it.
wait, wait, wait. I didn't know you were a player back in those
No,
days.
no, you were the player. Not me. I'm the church girl.
Oh shucks.
Yeah. So that's how it's happened. So the man on that show was the author of a book called Flying Solo, and um, he was talking about the importance of being single because that's a time to find yourself spiritually, and you have to fly solo before you can take a co-pilot. Well, at the end of the show, we had a walk back downtown, and that person from that show became my husband, my partner, and the father of my child. And when I met him, we were talking about, um, you know, who are you? Where you from? How you do? And I told him the story of my sister Doris Troy. And I told him the story of the radio station and how our life has always been full of music. You had music from the church. You had music from the club. It was jazz. You had music from the Apollo. It was R&B. You had music from the street corners, and that was doo. So we talked about music. And then he said, "Man, that's a good story. I think we should write that down." I said, "I don't know how to do that." He said, "I'll help you." And that's how the partnership began.
I see. I see. Well, that's wonderful. Ken Wydrow.
Ken Whiteshaw.
And he was a speaker.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was a professional speaker to corporations. He'd go in and teach them to think on your feet, the art of thinking and speaking under pressure. He had the productivity under pressure. He's written several books. And so he had a degree from Berkeley
mhm, mhm,
University in theater. So that's
mhm.
how I ended up in theater.
I see. I see. So we've got about 2.5 minutes, and I just want to briefly uh, remind the public that if they haven't seen Mama, I Want to Sing, the next time there's a production, go see it. I at one time was a member of the cast,
Yes, you are.
along with some other people, some famous, name a couple of famous people that came out of the cast.
Well, every radio personality, DJ was in the show. So you were in the show. Uh, Gary Bird was in it, Bob Law, yeah, Pat Prescott, and some of the other famous people include Doris Troy was in the show. Randy Higginson was in the show.
My man,
Uh,
Randy.
Shaka Khan was in the show. Shirley Caesar was in the show. So Regina Bell was in the show. So we had a lot of people who said, "Mama, I want to sing."
Incredible. And I just want to let those folks who are listening uh, outside of New York and they're listening in other cities and other countries, I just want to let you know that you are welcome to the neighborhood. Here in Harlem, America, we welcome everybody. So thank you so very, very much for listening. And I do want to remind folks that Vi has some other productions coming up, and we'll be talking about that. I think something's happening in December, and we'll be mentioning that in just a short bit. Also, while we are on the situation of, I want to remind folks that the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, they have a GoFundMe page where they are collecting funds to help feed the needy here in Harlem, senior citizens, and folks without food at the food banks. So I just wanted to remind you that this is What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander and the lovely, talented Vi Higginson. We'll be right back after this.
Tune in every Friday to get your weekend kickoff early. Join the legendary G. Keith Alexander for What's Hot Harlem America. The flagship show of the new Harlem America Digital Network has something for everyone. From the latest in entertainment to empowerment, health and wellness, and more. We'll bring you a variety of fresh viewpoints, voices, and ideas. What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander can be heard every Friday at 1 p.m. in New York and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Okay, back to the show. We've got Vi Higginson with us, and if you'd like to call in, you heard the phone number. I'll give it to you again. If you'd like to call in and say hi to Mama Vi or comment about one of the productions you've witnessed, or just say hello and tell me how much you love Harlem, the number is 866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788, toll free. And I want to remind you also, you can subscribe to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, just to name a few. So, Ms. Vi, we are back, and let's talk about some of the other productions you've had in the past that will probably be coming back sometime soon.
Let me tell you something.
What you gonna tell me?
We started really like doing this. So we did Mama 1, Sing Mama 2, Born to Sing. So that became a trilogy. Then we did Let the Music Play Gospel. We did a show. We did 17 shows since Mama
17?
I Want to Sing. Yeah. But let me tell you about the one I love all of them, because we just have so much talent in our community. And I feel responsible for providing a platform for them to express their talent, both on stage and off stage. And so the show that we did most recently that was seen on CBS 60 Minutes was Alive 55 plus and kicking.
Tell us about that one.
Oh, I love that show because what
Me
it
too.
does is it talks about what happens to the life of a person who wanted to sing and their dream was deferred. So, like, for example, uh, they something happened in their life that deterred them for doing what their dream was. So, Alive and Kicking gives them a second chance of doing what they always wanted to do. But they're now over 55. So, in a society like we live in, it people seem to dismiss people after a certain age as being unimportant or untalented without wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So we put them on the stage so they can show the younger people the sound of the human voice, that they can show what the voice can do from that generation. And so they can tell the audiences the life lessons that they learn on the journey and what music propelled them all the way through. Well, honey, they tear that stage up. They're singing it like it's their last breath. And I love that show because it tells us who we are and where we come from musically.
Well, very briefly, you had one guy, remember, had been in jail for 12, 13 years or something. He never got a chance to sing, but when he came out, he had such a voice that you gave him this opportunity to be a part of a production. And then there was another guy who was a maintenance man most of his life, and he was in his 80s or something, and he
Yes,
came out, and he had a voice. I mean, this guy had a
baby.
voice, and you gave him an opportunity. Uh, all of this has gotten you to, as you mentioned, 60 Minutes, but you've been on 60 Minutes 3 times. Tell us, how did Vi Higginson, my friend, my baby sister, the woman I've worked with in radio, get on 60 Minutes 3 times?
Oh, that's a good story. Thank you for that question because, um, 60 Minutes was always my favorite show because that's the pinnacle of journalism. It doesn't get better than that to me. You can tune in and you can find out everything you know in a concise and it's up to date and you can say, I didn't know that. So anyway, what happened was I I did my DNA and that's part of my hobby. I wanted to find out, like, how did I get here? Who am I? What do I look like? And they told us that we were Native American. So I went and searched for my Native American history, but didn't find any Native American. I found all these Europeans. And so I went and I visited them with a camera crew. And then I told a friend of mine, and it ended up in the New York Times. And they saw this Black woman from Harlem who was related to this white cattle rancher in Poplar Bluff, Missouri,
Hmm.
and how we came together as we share a common ancestor. And so 60 Minutes saw it and they asked if we would be on. So that's how it happened. It became a big story. That's years ago before all of this. And it was on the Today Show, the 6 o'clock news, Oprah Winfrey, 60 Minutes, and telling the story of DNA and how we somehow are all interrelated. It's only one race, the human race, bottom
That's it.
line. We're all kind of mixed up.
That's it. So that was number two. What was the third
Now that
time?
was number one.
Yeah, okay, that
So
was number
when
one.
they came, they saw what we were doing here in Harlem with the music and the kids. And they told that story in the first one. And then many years later, they came back and they were seeing all the concerts and the events, and they just fell in love with the kids. So that's how they did the second one. And that was pretty amazing because now you get to see young people differently than you normally see them in body bags or doing something wrong. These are some of our good kids, and all they want to do is sing and, and become better people. So that was the second one. And then the third one, they came and saw a live 55 plus and kissing. It says kissing, kicking.
Kick it.
55
Wow.
plus and kissing. How do you like that?
So
Anyway,
that
kick it. And they saw that. And so that was the story of the older adults. So
Mhm,
you get
mhm.
to see Black people in real life. So that's what I like, telling stories, musicals. That's what we do. Original African American musical theater. That's what we do. That's what we're known for.
And you're known all over the world. You've taken your tours to Japan and what else? London and where else?
We played on the West End of London with Chaka Khan singing Sister Carrie. Yes, she tore that up. She was wonderful. She's such a natural actress, you know, and her vocals were insane. So yeah, we 6 months on the West End in London. We broke all records. More Black people came to see that show on the West End than ever. But we went to Germany and Switzerland, Yugoslavia, Istanbul, Turkey, Greece, just to name a few. And we've been going to Japan 2 to 3 times a year since 1988. So we introduce the Japanese audience to gospel music. And now they have gospel schools all over Japan.
Well, there are folks in Japan, according to our analytics, who listen to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith
Yes.
Alexander. So if you'd like to say hello to them, please do.
I want to say hello to Japan. It feels like a second home, and how much they loved and appreciated and celebrated the music. I want to say a special hello to Reiko Yukawa-san, who is an amazing human being in Japan and a music critic who first saw us here in Harlem. And then she wrote all about us, and that's how we were introduced to the Japanese audience.
Fantastic. And I don't want to leave folks out. So hello to France, hello to Germany, hello to
Oh,
Ireland,
yeah.
hello to
Yeah.
Canada, hello to
Yeah.
China. All those folks listen to
Not
What's Hot
China.
Harlem America.
Oh, China is listening to you.
That's right.
All right,
That's
go
right.
ahead then.
That's right.
Hello.
So now you've got this wonderful presence in Harlem, but your presence now has evolved or expanded, I should say. You have another family member, your lovely and talented daughter, Amaya Noel. Tell us about her.
Unbelievable. Uh, you know, they said that I probably wouldn't have any children. And then here she was. So I see her as my miracle child. And she has a 5 octave range, which is insane and very rare. And so, therefore, she had the same notes as Desiree Coleman Jackson when she was born. So, like, how does that happen? So, she's the current star of Mama I Want to Sing. And she's traveled all over Europe and to Japan singing as well. And I'm just so incredibly proud of her because she runs the Mama Foundation for the Arts and all of the singing and the teaching and the programming. So That's Noelle Higginson Wydra, Maya Noel. Yeah.
Well, she's a big star, especially here in Harlem. I mean, folks see her at all these various events and presentations that you guys give. In fact, I was amazed the first time I saw you guys performing inside of Whole Foods. how did
Wow.
how did Whole Foods get you? Whole Foods here in Harlem, for those who don't know, I mean, for those folks out of Harlem, Whole Foods is on 125th Street and Lenox Avenue, and it to walk in sometimes and see the part of your choir, your gospel group in there singing while people are shopping is really a wonderful experience.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you, this is a good story because we have Mama's One Sauce for all foods at Whole Foods. So we go in and we sing and tell people out our Mama's One Sauce. You can savor the flavor.
Oh, it's
That's what,
delicious.
and it's a Harlem, it's a little bit of Harlem in a bottle because we lived in a rooming house and there were people who came from all over to rent a room. So there people came from the South, people came from the Caribbean, came from East India. And in Brownstone, there's only one kitchen. So they wanted to cook their recipes. So when I came home from school, the house would be full of all of these aromas and smells and spices and tastes. And so I created, along with my partners, this sauce in memory of my mother and this brownstone so that we could share that recipe with the world. And then Whole Foods picked it up, and now we're in 48 Whole Foods. And portion of the proceeds go back to the Mama Foundation so that we can keep the program free for the young
Fantastic.
people who attend and want to learn about their musical self and musical roots.
So then we should give our good neighbor Whole Foods a big round of applause
Oh, yeah.
for being so supportive and allowing their shelves to have Mama One Sauce so that you can support the kids whose lives you're changing.
I love it. I love uh, all of them who were there. Lucia was there,
I remember
and
Lucia,
Mr. Young, who's the head of everything, Damon Young.
Damon.
Um, and they have welcomed us, and we share our talent with them. And we're really grateful. It's a local Harlem vendors program. And that's how I got involved back in 2017.
Wow, that is great. Now,
It's good too. It's good. You
oh yeah,
put it on everything.
that's what I
And you
do.
know what, G Keith?
Yes.
It's going to be in People magazine in December as the great gift for Christmas.
Oh, really?
And it's been endorsed by Marcus Samuelson from Red Rooster.
Oh no, hey, that's
That
fantastic.
this is
That
a
is great.
great gift.
All right. Now let me ask you, how have you been dealing with staying at home? I'm on a stay my ass at home protocol.
Stay my ass at home.
In fact, so much so that I chipped my tooth the other month,
Oh,
and I'm afraid to go to the dentist to get my tooth fixed. So I'm waiting until things calm down or people get vaccinated or whatever the case may be, so I can go and get my chipped tooth fixed. But anyway, how are you dealing with this?
yeah, it's funny you should mention that. I had to go to a dentist for an emergency, and he was in hazard gear from head to toe. He looked like an astronaut. Everything was covered.
Well, thanks
So
for telling me.
I give you his number because
Oh,
he was
good.
decked out, baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee.
So
So, wow, that's great.
have been dealing it. It's not easy, especially now. We thought we had it under control. When we went through that fourth quarter, they said to open up, you can go back in your offices now. And then 2 days ago, they closed up the the schools. And now the question is, what do we do? So do we just shut down? Do we try to push forward or what? But we've been doing things virtually. So our classes have continued. We did some in person,
Hmm.
and then some we did virtually. And so we have a big gala. Now we also been doing live streaming as well. So we do once a month. We do Sing Harlem
Hmm.
live
Hmm.
from the Brownstone, and it's 3 o'clock on the first Sunday
Hmm.
of every month. So we did 2 episodes already, and we're going to do a third one coming up on December 6th, Sunday, December 6th. So you want to tune into that because it feels so good to have live music. So we are socially distanced. We got everybody all set up, and the music comes straight out of Harlem.
Fantastic. Well, before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, you guys were in the Red Rooster every Sunday down at Jenny's, performing down there, and the tourist crowds were jam-packed in there.
Yes, we had a residency there, and we still do. We were playing there up until like outdoors, and then it got cold, so we'll probably go back. But it was amazing to have people from all over the world to come and celebrate the music, because Harlem is about good food and good music. So that we were glad to be there as part of that.
Well, we've got, excuse me, less than 2 minutes before we go to break, and we'll come back and talk about some other highlights in your life. But I just want to say that I want to say hi to uh, the listeners here in Harlem, and to my brothers and sisters around the country who listen to Harlem America, as well as those in other countries. Remember, Harlem America is a community. It's a destination, and it's a state of mind for those people who have come here before and have experienced the richness and the culture of Harlem, and wherever they are around the world. I'm sure they're thinking about coming back to Harlem, or thinking about what they experienced. So welcome to Harlem America. You're in the neighborhood. I'm G. Keith Alexander with What's Hot Harlem America, and we'll be right back with more of Vi Higginson and her life story and much more. I'm G. Keith Alexander. Don't go away. Thank you.
Tune in every Friday to get your weekend kickoff early. Join the legendary G. Keith Alexander for What's Hot Harlem America. The flagship show of the new Harlem America Digital Network has something for everyone. From the latest in entertainment to empowerment, health and wellness, and more, we'll bring you a variety of fresh viewpoints, voices, and ideas. What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander can be heard every Friday at 1 p.m. in New York and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Okay, we're back to the show, but I understand people on Facebook Live, they can't hear us, and I don't know why. This is my first time doing this, and it doesn't say it's muted or anything. I hope you folks on Instagram can hear us. And so, Vi,
Mhm.
let's talk about you've got something happening in December.
Yes. What we're doing is that live stream, Sing Harlem. The name of our professional group is called Sing Harlem, and we sing live right here from the Mama Foundation, from a brownstone. So we say straight out of Harlem,
Mhm.
live from the brownstone, Sing Harlem. So, and they sing gospel, jazz, R&B, all of it. So, and it's a wonderful taste of Harlem, because I always thought Harlem was the music mecca of the world. And to hear these young people be singing like that, they're singing their face off. I love it. I love it.
So that's when? What's the date? What's the date on that?
That's December 6th,
Hmm.
Sunday at
Hmm.
3 o'clock. You can join in. We're on a looped.com, but you can go to our Facebook page or go to Sing Harlem, and you can see that we are there and when we're there. So this is episode 3, and we plan to do 4, 5, and keep it going.
That's great. Now, you and I, we've spoken before, and you've told me that some of these kids that come to your program over the years, some of them are in distress because of maybe their home life, or maybe school life, or maybe people in the neighborhood are affecting them. But when they come, and some of them come with no confidence, but when they come to Mama, what do you do? How have they developed? How have they blossomed?
You know, Keith, we say that mama means to nourish, encourage, and fine tune. Now, foundation means to educate, experience, and gain access to opportunity. And so that's why mama works the way we do. We think that these children are the future leaders of America. We think it's all about the young people. I believe the children are the future. And so we must give them the tools they need to be successful. And so we're more than a music program. We try to make a whole human being. So we give them the sense of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. And the music is a way to exercise their vocal cords. And music, there's a science to music, and music has this healing power. So it doesn't matter what happened to you in the past, it matters where you're going from there. And so we take a check right where they are, tell them to leave the baggage outside the door and get some of the information we're about to feed them. And what happens is they change. They become they become confident, self assured. 87% of our young people go on to higher education or to careers in the arts. So that's the work that we're doing. Noelle is my partner, co founder, and she teaches them everything that she has learned from Manhattan School of Music and the American Dramatic and Music Academy. And so, therefore, we can uh, feed these young people into successful human beings.
Well, without disclosing any names or anything like that, can you give us maybe an incident or two of how you have changed the lives of not only the actual students that come to you, but in doing so, you change the lives of their siblings? Because now the siblings get to see that their other sibling is so productive in doing things. And then you change the lives of the family completely, because now the parent can say things when they have conversations. Oh, my son is in Mama, I Want to Sing, or my daughter is in Mama, I Want to Sing. Uh,
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that real quickly.
Yes, it's really true. See, what we discovered, like we are who we are from birth until the present moment. And sometimes we get some lumps and some bumps and kicks along the way. Sometimes we have young people who are absence of mothers and fathers, or one or the other. Sometimes we have young people from foster homes. Sometimes we have young people who are homeless, and they come in and they develop a talent and a skill. And there's a number of young people who started one place and ended up in another. So one young lady came, and she was so shy that she could melt into the wall. She was there for years before you could even know she was there. And then she came, and we hired her to be in the office. I want you to know that she wrote her essay about being part of the Mama Foundation for the Arts. She got accepted to Georgetown University. She graduated from there after joining the a cappella group at Georgetown. Then she went on to UCLA and law school, and she graduates this year, and she wants to be an entertainment attorney. So those
Fantastic.
are the stories. Those are some happy endings. We have a number of stories. Young girl went on to that school in Atlanta for young girls, and she went there. They were singing different, so she said that's not how we do it in Harlem. So she invited the whole class to Harlem to hear how we do it in Harlem, and and she went on that NYU, and now she has a business administration, the business of music. Now that's the kind of
Incredible.
stuff we want to be talking about.
Wow, that's incredible. Well, let me tell you how famous Mama is. Okay, so I'm on the subway
Mhm.
one day going to a doctor's appointment, a follow checkup, and I'm not feeling well on the subway. And I started to kind of bend over, holding my stomach, and I'm leaning up against the subway door.
Mm,
Next thing I know, I'm laying on the subway platform on my back.
mm.
I'm waking up. I'm waking up. Okay, with laying on the subway platform on my back, and there are people standing over me. And it just so happens to be that there's a nice person to my left, and a nice woman to my right, a nurse, and the guy that works for the MTA. He's standing above me, and he wants to know my name and everything so that he can make his report. So I'm groggy and everything, and I'm saying, "Oh, my name is G. Keith Alexander," and the guy says, "G. Keith Alexander? You mean G. Keith Alexander from the radio?" I said, "Yeah," and he says, and you know Vi Higginson, right?" I said, "Yes." Now I'm laying down there, I'm groggy and everything, and he says, "Well, my daughter sings with Mama I Want to Sing." Now everybody's gathered all around me, and he's talking and telling me all this, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened to me. But but right there, Mama I Want to Sing.
Mama, I want to sing. It's sort
Yeah.
of a metaphor for anybody who ever had a dream of doing anything other than what they're doing now. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an IT person. I want to be a sound man. So Mama, I want to sing.
Now, back in the day when we were just, starting out, we had no idea any of this was going to happen. I remember Frankie, in fact, right on Lenox Avenue now, which has changed,
Mhm.
WBLS was right above where the Red Rooster is. So,
Exactly.
so we used to park our cars. Frankie used to park his Rolls Royce out front. Behind Frankie, I had a Volkswagen Beetle that I had painted silver from the hood to the trunk, and the doors were black. And I had put a Rolls Royce grill on the front of it, and had a Continental kit on the back. And then behind me, you parked your car, and
Uh-huh.
you had a little Citron, I believe.
Citron, a doucheville.
Yeah. So the three of us would park our cars right there in front of where the Red Rooster is right now, and we thought we were like,
Stars.
yes, of course, at that time, Frankie wore a fox coat,
Mhm.
and he'd ride in his Rolls, and I couldn't afford a fox coat, didn't know anything about fur, but a young lady had given me $100 and told me to go buy a fur coat. So I went to Alexander's and bought this rabbit coat for $100. I had no idea that 30 days later the hair would be falling off the coat. Yeah. But we thought we were into something back then. I
Oh,
mean,
it was so much fun. And the music was so good. The greatest geniuses of all time. You know, I I want to say greatest geniuses of all times. I mean, if you talk about Stevie Wonder and Teddy Pendergrass and Quincy Jones and all of the greats that came through, Nick Ashford, Valerie Simpson, all the folks that we played on that radio station.
That's right. And speaking of Stevie Wonder, you had a special relationship with Stevie Wonder, as I can remember. How did that happen?
Don't go there. He was a really good friend. Yeah.
He did. He had this. He came out with this instrument that was new to everybody. I forget what it was.
Yeah. A synthesizer.
A synthesizer. Yes, he was like one of the first people with the synthesizers.
He changed music.
He changed music, and he did our drops for us. How did it go?
By Higgenson.
Right. There you go. Okay, all right. He
I
had
wish
one
I
for
could
me.
sing.
He had one for me, one for Frankie, and all that. Yes, Stevie has been a good friend of the radio station and us as well. In fact, we wish him well. I understand he had a recent operation, but I guess he's recovering very well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So what else would you like to talk about that we haven't discussed? We've got probably about 3 minutes left to close.
You know, Keith, you're a good interviewer. You're a good soul.
Thank you.
I'm really happy to be your baby sister and you be my baby brother.
That's
and
right.
we've been doing this for years now.
No one knows who. Well, wait a minute.
Nobody
She's his baby sister, but he's her baby brother. Right.
And that's the good thing.
Yes, that's the good thing. I want to remind people that you can please like and share and subscribe to us. We're on Apple Podcast and Stitcher and Spotify and all of the popular podcast platforms. And we're on every Friday from 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And we'd love to have you join us and become part of Harlem America. Hey, you're hanging in the neighborhood, you know?
Hanging in the neighborhood.
No matter where you are, you're hanging in the neighborhood. And
Yes.
So Vi, we've got less than 3 minutes. What else should we let folks know?
You know, I just want to take a moment of gratitude. I want to take a moment of gratitude for Frankie Frock. You know, I'm
Frankie
hearing
Crocker.
this and my mouth is acting stupid. But I want to take a moment to thank Frankie Crocker and all of the staff people and the engineers from LIB to WBLS. I want to thank all of the people who were part of Mama, I Want to Sing and all the productions we have done, from the cast, the band, the staff, the crew who ushered in this phase of African American theater. And I want to thank all the young people who were part of the Mama Foundation for the Arts and who were able to learn and to grow and to become somebody. And so I want to thank my family and all my friends, and a special thankful a special thank you to you, G. Keith Alex. There's an echo in my ears, so I'm messing up. Let's have a thankful.
Oh, gee whiz. Well, hey, we've got less than 2 minutes. And before we close, I just want to say that if you go to harlemamerica.com and check us out, and I'd like for you to be able to register for our email list, and you become part of the Harlem America Club, where there'll be special privileges. And excuse me, and Harlem America supports all the small Black businesses, all the businesses, period, but especially small Black businesses here in Harlem. because we know that you're going to need to be able to recover from this COVID, and we're going to help you get fame, fortune, and followers. That's what Harlem America Digital Network is all about.
I
So
like it.
thank you. So we're going to have to leave it here, Vi. I'm G.
Yes.
Keith Alexander. Thank you so very much for
Thank you
Vi
so much.
Higginson coming to Harlem America. And we want to remind you guys to wear your masks, wash your
Yes.
hands, stay 6 feet away from folks, and happy Thanksgiving. But please have a happy Thanksgiving where you won't have any regrets later on. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening to What's Hot Harlem America with G. Keith Alexander. Have a great day and a better one tomorrow. Don't judge your brother or sister too harshly until you've walked a mile in his or her shoes or sneakers or heels, whatever they're wearing. Bye.